Gary Danielson joins us now. A couple of very big SEC games. I want to get to the sleeper game because my sleeper team this year was Ole Miss. I thought Ole Miss, now we know they got the hot shot recruit, but Ole Miss I thought last year, late in the year, played really well. They've already played some good games so far. They've beat Texas. They've won a couple of good games. Now they get the acid test at Alabama. But I want to see, Gary, how this Ole Miss team holds up against Alabama.
Well, I think you're right. And, the opening game for us, A&M against Alabama, everybody wanted to see how the passing attack and the up-tempo that A&M had with Manziel, and, we saw the results. They caught a hot quarterback, and it forced Alabama to come out of their, normal, run-pass balance, and they had to throw the ball, and they came through. Ole Miss is different. They spread the field out, but they still try to play a more physical game from that spread-out offense. But I still, I have the same belief all the time when you're going to go up against a Nick Saban team with all those great athletes. You better have a quarterback that can make third-down conversions. I mean, you're seeing that a little bit in the NFL with Chip Kelly's offense. It all looks nice, but you still have to pick up 3rd and 4. And it gets to that's where it becomes a quarterback game. And Bo Wallace is going to have to prove he can do it because games that Alabama has lost, they've had the quarterback convert a lot of those third down plays with his arm. Very, very difficult for, I think, Bo Wallace and his style. He's not a
no, he's not. He's hot and
guy.
Cold. He's hot and cold, too, really.
And he's not the elusive 4-4 quarterback.
No.
So he's going to have to do it with his arm. Now they've got young receivers. They've got go-to guys. They've put together very nicely. But I was here a year ago. At the same point, Mississippi State went into Tuscaloosa undefeated, and they couldn't get it done. It is one thing going in there undefeated. It's another thing winning at Alabama.
I agree, and if they even hang in the game, I'd be impressed because I don't expect them to win, but I think Ole Miss has got a very good team this year, and if they don't get slaughtered here, I think it's a building block for them, but let's see how they hold up. LSU...
Well, and even more than that, Alabama's struggling a bit.
Right.
It's not an Alabama team, replacing those 5 offensive physical football players
right.
is becoming a little tougher than people thought.
And they have a great recruit on the defensive line, the player of the year, the great young player. We'll see how he does in his first game, so against Alabama. So let's see if he can wreak a little havoc there. That's their big young player. He's the guy who was the number 1 recruit in the country, as everybody knows. Now, LSU, Georgia, terrific game. Georgia won the game they had to win this year after losing that Clemson game. LSU, always, I have great respect for LSU because I think other than Alabama, they have the best athletes in the country. So I think they're always very dangerous. Very good game, Georgia and LSU.
Well, Mike, a lot of people, don't follow it as closely as college football thing as other people, but just to highlight the fact of how good LSU is again this year, okay? Now, they didn't play a vintage team in TCU, and they didn't play a great team in Auburn. Auburn team's going to get a little better. Gus Malzahn will get them improved. But, the TCU, Gary's team is not as good this year. However, LSU, this is what I think your listeners have to realize, they had 11 underclassmen turn pro, had 11 guys that still could be on this LSU team. Now, if you're a coaching staff, that's hard to plan for. Yet he has reloaded this team.
Yep.
When you watch him on tape, I'm watching the tape and I'm going, come on, do I have on a 2013 tape or do I have a 2012 tape on? Because their new defensive ends look just like the ones that left.
Yep, they get great players. They do.
The type of talent they got.
They have great players. I think, like I said, you could make a case, and you know this because you do the games. Alabama, LSU, and Georgia have the 3. Those are the 3 most talented teams in the country. You want to put Oregon in there with their speed, but these 3 teams can play any week with anybody in the country. They all have great, great talent.
I agree with that, and when you put on top of that, think about LSU. Now Georgia, everybody realizes, came 5 yards from playing for the national championship last year.
Yep.
And the way Alabama handled Notre Dame, everybody's pretty much, you can never guarantee these things, but everybody's pretty convinced that, any SEC team at the top level that would have played Notre Dame would have won that game.
I don't have I have no issue with that. I have no issue.
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Now let's look at it on LSU's side here. 2 years ago, they had to play a rematch against Alabama. Alabama was the more motivated team. They were the team of the year in 2011, and they went into that championship game, and Alabama got them. Okay, so that's one game. If they didn't play Alabama again, they might have won that national championship. Last year, they came within one stop of Alabama at home or playing for the national championship again. It very easily could have been LSU trying for a three-peat this year instead of Alabama. That's how talented Les
I agree.
football.
And now they got, usually you think LSU, you think defense. This Zach Mettenberger, he's a big-time quarterback now. He comes in the game, 10 touchdowns, 1 intercept. He's completing a lot of passes. So they come in there now with a quarterback who can play.
And, and when you tie it together, the real hook for the, college football fan, and especially the SEC, is Zach Mettenberger's from, Georgia.
Yep.
He was recruited by Georgia. He signed at Georgia. He and Aaron Murray roomed together, the two quarterbacks in this game. He had an incident where he had to leave school and, had to go to junior college and signed with LSU with one thing in mind. He wanted one chance to play Georgia in his career.